The story of Money for Nothing is, honestly, pretty weird. It's full of happy accidents. A microphone that got knocked over in the studio. Sting just happening to be on the same Caribbean island. And lyrics that came straight from two guys in a hardware store. Making fun of rock stars on MTV. This mix of humor, coincidence, and genius gave us one of the biggest songs of the 1980s. If you love stories like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Picture this. Mark Knopfler walks into a kitchen appliance store in New York City. At the back, there's a giant wall of TVs, every single one tuned to MTV. Two workers are standing there, watching, and they start talking trash about the rock stars on screen. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. Knopfler hears this, and he realizes this is a song. So he grabs a pen and paper and writes the lines down almost word for word. Instead of inventing lyrics, he just borrowed the voices of these guys. That's why the song feels so raw and funny. Because it's real. Now, here's the thing. Mark Knopfler actually agreed with those workers. He wasn't a fan of MTV. He thought music videos took away from the purity of songs. But instead of ranting about it himself, he let these characters do the talking. That's why Money for Nothing works. It's not preachy. It's tongue-in-cheek. It sounds like a conversation you might overhear in real life. At this point, Dire Straits were struggling. They hadn't had a big hit since Sultans of Swing. Critics loved them, but commercially, things were stalling. Then came Money for Nothing. The irony? A band that didn't care about music videos ended up writing one of the biggest anthems of the MTV era. Of course, we can't talk about this song without mentioning that guitar riff. Knopfler had a unique style. Unlike most guitarists, he didn't use a pick. He played with his fingers, kind of like a banjo roll. That's what gave the riff its unusual groove and feel. But the tone? That was pure accident. When they were recording at AIR Studios in Montserrat, the microphones around his amp were all set up wrong. One was pointing at the floor. Another wasn't even aimed at the speaker. Knopfler went to fix it, but the engineer said, "Don't touch a thing. It's perfect." And he was right. That mistake gave us one of the most iconic guitar sounds in rock history. They tried to recreate it later. Same gear, same setup, never worked. Now, here's where Sting comes in. Knopfler had this line, "I want my MTV." He even said it to the melody of "Don't Stand So Close to Me" by The Police. And guess what? Sting was on holiday in Montserrat, the exact same island where Dire Straits were recording. So Knopfler invited him to the studio. Sting sang the line, added some backing vocals, and suddenly the song felt like a real back and forth conversation. But there was a catch. Because the line used the Police melody, Sting's publisher demanded a co-writing credit. Which means Sting has earned royalties from Money for Nothing ever since. Knopfler didn't want to do a flashy music video. He just wanted the band playing. MTV, of course, pushed for something bigger. So they brought in director Steve Barron. And the result? One of the very first music videos to use 3D computer animation. By today's standards, it looks clunky and almost cartoonish. But in 1985, it was revolutionary. The video was everywhere. It even won Video of the Year at the 1986 MTV Awards. Money for Nothing changed everything for Dire Straits. Their album Brothers in Arms became one of the first huge CD successes, selling over 1 million copies on the new format. The band went from respected musicians to global superstars. And while the video hasn't aged well, the song itself, still timeless. That riff, those lyrics, that irony, it just works. MTV may not be what it used to be, but Money for Nothing still sounds as sharp as ever. So in the end, it was a mix of coincidence, accidents, and pure luck that gave us this song. Two guys in a hardware store, a mic pointed at the floor, and Sting hanging out on the right island at the right time. That's the story of Money for Nothing. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. And if you love stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, because we've got plenty more on the way.